Okay, so I wanted to talk about for a little bit, just because I was a little curious, is this idea of like these like pseudo misogynists or whatever you want to call them ideas, to where it's like it's something new, and like there's like this new, oh, women are hoes, women ain't this, like women like all this, like these weird like categories we put people in, these weird sayings we have that are becoming more and more popular, and that's evident. What Future was popular for like maybe a year or two ago, and the woman deserved less thing, and how his music is kind of follows that same theme. And these like red pill messages is like, oh, never trust a woman, never do this. And well, who else was Andrew? And the popularity of Andrew Tate kind of shows that too. So I was just curious to why. And also, I did like a little, I was trying to figure out, okay, well, there's obviously like a manosphere that's becoming popular. That's kind of what I want to be into, which is funny. I'm like criticizing what I want to do. But I'm probably going to put this right here if I can. It's like, I looked and see if I could find like, female relationship advice, like female red pill. And as you can see, my search didn't really turn up that well. So I'm really just trying to figure out, I'm just thinking, it's like, well, why is the dating advice specifically on media so slewed towards men? Is it because women are just naturally better when it comes to body language reading, and they have more of an abundance in this new modern, social environment we have? They have such an abundance with online dating and social media, and it kind of plays their advantage. And when you take in the factors that, more body altering surgeries, and like they've gone way better at like changing their looks, and they could change their looks in an instant like that. Is that because it's just naturally easier when it comes to dating? But I'm just trying to figure that out, because I see, like, I used to be deep into this, like, and my next video is kind of going to be about, well, I'm going to record right after this one. It's about, like, changing your perception and trying to learn. And most of the red pill, like, ideas, and the most ideas that young men, including myself, will used to, but still kind of, because they're true and they should be, like, kind of told. But sometimes they can be very overblown, and they can become very counterproductive. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, why it is, like, why there's no really, and I looked up, like, female dating advice. There were just females giving advice to men. So there's no women's sphere. There is, like, there's a lot of different, like, there's obviously feminine women to, like, there's obviously, like, feminists, and they empower, other women, and they have their own ideas. Some productive, some not productive, but that's a different video. Some I agree with, some I don't disagree with. And I agree with feminists in the sense that women should have the same opportunities as men. And that I do believe that to be the case, and that should be true. And they should be treated with respect. But when it comes to the quality of outcome and whether they should be socialized different, that's a whole different opinion. But there's like, that's the thing, but that's like supporting women. That's not really like support. And there's a little bit of it, but like the boss girl types that say, more women should lead their relationships, and I don't know. That's like a whole other video to get into. If you're a more masculine woman with masculine essence, and that's how you prefer to live, then maybe you like to be with a more feminine man. But there's a difference from trying to get in a relationship with a masculine man and trying to be the leader of the relationship, because that isn't gonna work out. It'll just be conflicting, and one side needs to take a role. And like, it's the whole idea of gender roles kind of skewed. It's like, oh, women do this, women do that. It's like, no, the masculine, the leader, does this, and the feminine and the support does this. It's nothing to do with gender. You could literally be anything. You could literally have like a dog in between your legs or some like weird genetic bullshit. I don't know, but that's pretty skewed. But oh yeah, I'm starting to ramble. Let me stop. So the main point I was trying to say is, like, why is there no female dating advice? Is it because they're just naturally better at that? And these whole red pill misogynistic, well, I wouldn't say fully misogynistic, like these kind of like pseudo misogynistic, a lot of people call them, like, claims and statements, I thought they were widely known and understood. and maybe they weren't. And that's why it's becoming so popular. It's like there's like this whole idea to where it's like, oh, you can't trust women. Women don't, like, will never really fully love you. They're always looking for the better man. Women are who like dating issues. Like, well, I don't get why they're being overblown in this portion of ways, because society has become to a point where demasculization is just like we have to say these ideas and they're becoming super extreme. When it's like I thought it was obvious, like I thought it was obvious, evident from the beginning of time that women were monogamous, and a lot of these red pill people are pitting it as like this negative bad thing. It's like, well, women are monogamous, they're hoes, they're this. It's like, okay, yes, they are, and that's what has fueled our evolution since the beginning. When a female, like whatever you want, ape, whatever, mammal started to say, hey, I'm gonna be more picky in who I mate with. I'm gonna mate with the male with the best traits. That was the start of our evolution and our way toward being human beings, because the best people, the males with the best traits, are the ones who mate, and the ones that don't have the best traits, they don't survive and they die. That's just natural selection. So this whole idea that women being monogamous is like a new thing, or it's like this crazy idea and it makes women hoes or sluts or something. It's like it's preposterous. It doesn't make any real sense, and it's been common knowledge for a while now, and I don't really understand why it's been blown out of proportion. And maybe there's a lot of bad actors, like the whole city girl idea, to where it's like city girl summer and you just go around sleeping with a bunch of dudes. Like, yeah, that is like, that's a whole different thing. That's not just women being hypergamous, and it kind of gets lumped in. And I feel like maybe, you know, like women might have like a little bit of advantage in this modern time, this modern social era, and with the whole thing like City Girl Summer and counter possession and all these other different things, it's kind of exaggerated the problem, and that's what makes the manosphere and red pill and dating advice so popular. Especially when throughout their life, young males have been taught like just treat them nice, and they haven't really been taught any of these things. So it's like it's such a new thing. It's like it's crazy when I watch some of these videos like Andrew Tate or some red pill YouTuber, and they're saying how women are monogamous, and you know they feel a certain way in the moment, their feelings change easily, and they're always looking for the best man. People are like, their minds are blown. They use the paint as women are hoes or something, when it doesn't make any sense. That has been a common theme throughout time. It's like the best dude who has the best traits and put in the best work gets to mate, and that's just not even human. That's what every species, is whatever. Like the female and the male, like in most of the species, die off way faster than humans, obviously. So if they survive, they had the best traits, they continue, and you know more. They, trying to explain, but you know how it works, natural selection. The two with the best traits breed, those traits pass on. The ones that don't have the best traits die, and then the best traits keep being passed on to, after a while, like, well, it's a good example that some cheetahs can't catch some mammals they hunt on, because after a while, they always had dominance over that species, but the traits kept going down the line to where they just adapted, and that's what humans did. And that's particularly what women did. And that's always been a thing. It's just maybe it hasn't been as prevalent or extreme because there was no social media, there was no counter perception, so there wasn't really no City Girl Summer, because that was a huge risk even doing that, and it just wasn't really worth it. And it wasn't really as easy, and there wasn't much as abundance for women, and it was kind of on for women, and you know, it was a different playing field. And you could say it was more fair, it was more unfair towards either side, but that's like a whole different argument. And I feel like men and women have equally had challenges in the upcoming of history, and they've both gone through shit, they've both been slaves. And this idea that's just been oppression of women throughout the whole thing is just kind of, that's still another video. See, I'm just trying to figure out, like, why is there no female, like, red pill or no female relationship advice like that isn't popular? Or if there is, why isn't it popular? And females have emotional attachment. Actually, is actually a study that females go to therapy more than men, and that makes sense because they're higher in autism and they feel negative emotions more and they have difficulty dealing with it. So that makes sense. But I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to figure out like this. And then I don't think the manosphere is a bad thing. It's what I want to do. But some of these ideas that are being pushed in are super extreme, and I'm just trying to figure it out. It's like, and maybe it's just the fact that we were failed to taught is that you have to act a certain way in a relationship. And it's okay to be friends with your partner, but you're not friends, and you have to act as though you're not friends. And that's what they're saying, but they're pushing in this extreme ideas like, oh, you gotta check the bitch, you gotta do this, like, you just remember, like, can't trust women. It's like these extreme ideas when it's like, you should have been taught this from the beginning that you have to act a certain way in a relationship, and you have to realize how women work, especially for a man. It should be vice versa, but there's no vice versa. There's like no female like red pill or anything like that. There's probably female self-improvement YouTubers, obviously, but it's like it's not as abundant or as prevalent right now in the moment. And I don't know if that's due to society just being more demasculated, and after a while it just kind of builds up. Now it's like this problem where these such basic concepts that just not a lot of young men just don't know, and I didn't know either. So I'm not saying that I'm any better, but I didn't know for a while. But I didn't just accept the face value. I kind of want to dig it deeper into why. And the fact that they're not being taught this, it's an issue, because, and they're able to push these extreme ideas because there is truth in them. Like, you can unmask an extreme idea as like a truth. Well, actually, not even that. You can have an extreme idea and there be some truth to it, and that's like what's happening. This is pushed to extreme, like red pill, women ain't ish, all this like this crazy thing, and that's why I think it's a power struggle. And then the feminist side, they use that as more like fuel to push against it. Like, oh, look, this toxic masculinity, look at that. When some of it is based in truth, and it's like really, it's like, yeah, it's like this big thing. It's like some of these feminist ideas are kind of radical and extreme, and I don't know if I agree with them on scientific terms or levels. And then there's some of these red pill dudes that they're extreme, and I can agree with them to a certain extent, but they take it a little bit too far. So yes, and women deal with emotional attachment even more, and I've seen that firsthand, and there's studies that prove that. So you think there'd be more female like red pill support? Maybe they don't even need that because they already have support, like in this new society anyway. So they don't really need like a women's sphere or something like that. And a lot of people in the men's sphere, they say like, oh, we do this because people don't care about men, and maybe that is the case. So I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, well, let me know what you think. Why do you think there isn't like a male, like a female red pill or a female sphere, even though they experience the different problems, but they still have the same emotional impact, and maybe even greater due to their more emotional way they think and the higher in autism. So just let me know, like, why.